What's up guys, it's Lewis from Better Blade Co. And today I'll be giving you a tour of my $1,000 backyard workshop. Check it out. So a little backstory, I have two workshops. I have my basement workshop where I can't really make a lot of dust because it's in my house. And I had an outdoor workshop, which is always a 7x7 plastic shed. And in that outdoor workshop I did all my grinding so I could be as messy as I wanted and it's all contained. I kind of grew out of that 7x7 shed, so I built this. It's a 10x10 wooden framed shed in my backyard, and I built it for $1,000. I wanted to do a budget shop because I didn't have a lot of money, and this is what I came up with. Now I know it's not finished, I know it still needs some trim work and finish work, but for the most part it's up, no leaks, and it's perfect for me. So I'll just show you around. So here it is. It's not pretty, but it's good enough for what I have. It is 10x10, it's framed, it's on these concrete pillars. I got this door from a friend, they were throwing it out. I got this window from that same friend who was also throwing it out. And it only cost me $1,000 to build this, and all in my backyard. Built it in about a week. It's a work in progress because I, procrastinated it. But I just wanted something where I could be dry, out of the elements, and be able to do some work. So I'll show you inside. So, like I said, it cost me $1,000, and that cost included all the OSB, all the T111, the 2x6s for the floor and the roof, and all the 2x4s. Now, needless to say, I did do a lot of scavenging at the dump and places like that, but it still was really inexpensive, and I am by no means a master carpenter. I don't claim to be a master carpenter, but for me, I think it's perfect. It's sturdy, it's watertight, and I love it. And working in it, it's really a pleasure. And it's a lot better than my old shop, which I'll show you in a second. So this was my old shop. It's 7x7. It's a plastic Rubbermaid shed. The doors you would always have to keep open, even when it rained, so that was fun. But what I have now is a lot better than this, and it's really an upgrade, and for $1,000, I think I really used that money to the fullest for what I built. I'm gonna give you a tour of the new shop right now. Alright, so now let's look inside. Now yes, I know there's no insulation, but for $1,000 I built this entire thing, including the window, the door, which I got both of those for free from people throwing them out. I got all the studs, all the floor joists, the roof joists, all the OSB, all the T111 on the outside, and mind you, I don't have insulation. I didn't feel like I wanted to spend the extra money on insulation because for the amount of time that I'd be in here, I didn't think it was worth it. And yes, my friend framed in an AC when it gets hot, which is nice. I have fans behind the door, and I'll take this time to give you a little shop tour. So first we walk in, and we see my grinding area, which I'll show you now. Okay, so here's my grinding area. And I have two grinders. I have my 2x42, and I have my Harbor Freight 1x30. This is basically the main part of my shop where I do most of my work, because I'm a knife maker, I need the belt grinder. It's a narrow table, it's only 2 feet wide by 8 feet long, and that's good because it prevents me from having stuff all over getting filled with dust, falling off because of the vibration. And yeah, this is basically the main part of the shop where I get most of my work done. Above it, I have a belt rack with a 2x4 and just dowels put into it. This is good because it prevents me from actually having to have belts all over the floor, and I can see what belt I need and take it off. This is a decent setup. Now mind you, this shop is pretty much temporary. Well, not temporary, but in the sense that I could move things around as I please, and just when I get more tools, I could just move them in. When I don't want things, I could just move them out. So nothing's set in stone here. Now underneath my grinding area, I want to use as much space as possible because I don't have a lot of space. It's only 10x10 floor space. So I have a bunch of stuff which I'll show you right now. Okay, so right here I have my cooling bucket, so when I have a knife and it's hot and I need to cool it down, I just put it in the water. I have my stove for stabilizing wood. Anytime I need stabilized wood, I don't use my house oven, I use this oven, which is not for food. And every time I use it, I make sure to blow it out, make sure there's no dust in it. I have a bench grinder here, which doesn't get too much use, but when I need to use it, it's good. A milk crate down here with some vices in it and some random pieces of steel. Milk crate with my oil for quenching, magnets, and more vices because I'm a pack rat. Another tool, milk crate with cactus juice materials, like there's a gallon of cactus juice in it, things like that. And then another milk crate with miscellaneous tools. Down here, in this toolbox, is the magical Evaporust. No, I'm not hoarding dark water underneath my workbench because I'm crazy. This is Evaporust. For those of you who don't know, Evaporust, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do love their product. It's a non-toxic rust remover, so where you can just put any tool in here and it'll remove the rust and give it a nice finish, so you don't have to grind all the rust off, which is nice. So I leave this under here. If I need something that I have to take the rust off of, throw it in here, throw it on the workbench, forget about it for a few hours, and take it out when it's ready. Let's move over to the other side of the shop. Okay, so this side of the shop is more of an assembly area where I have a workbench where I could actually have space to work so I'm not crouching on the ground. I use this workbench for random miscellaneous things and projects. You know, there's projects on it right now, like the guitar I'm working on and some other stuff. This mess over here, this corner, is a junk corner, and that's specifically for junk only. And I know that's bad of me to do that, but I have no other place to put it, so it's going in here. But over here I also have my vacuum, which I use as a dust collector for both of my grinders. Over here I have a file cabinet, and I have tools in there. Now, like I said before, because I only have 10 by 10, I need to utilize every piece of space that I have. So because I have a workbench here, and I can't stand on the workbench or work there, I have to put stuff under it. So underneath the workbench, I have my chop saw and my bandsaw. The bandsaw gets a decent amount of use for splitting up scales, but it's not the best. I have my metal cutting bandsaw in the other shed, and the chop saw gets a little bit of use with squaring up material, chopping up 2x4s, things like that. And then the other wall. So when I first built this shop, I had a problem on my hands. The problem was I didn't have a nice space for all the tiny tools, the pliers, the screwdrivers, and all the small little tools that I needed to make knives with that I needed out here. Because I'd have to run inside, go to the tool chest, and run back. Now, I don't like tool chests in here because I don't have a lot of space. They take up a big footprint, and for what's in them, it's not that great. And I came up with a solution, and it's probably not the best as far as keeping them clean and out of dust, but I think it's a good enough solution for what I have. For those of you who know Adam Savage, Mythbusters, created a tool rack, and I basically built the same thing, which I'll show you right here. So this is my Adam Savage inspired tool rack. It's got wrenches, I have my screwdrivers, pliers up top, and I still have to load it up a little bit more. I'm a Makita circular saw, clamps. And I need all this stuff basically around the shop, and the problem is I don't want to have a tool chest because of the footprint. But this, on the other hand, only has a 16 by 16 footprint, so I could have a lot of stuff piled up as high as I want with this small footprint, and when I don't need it, I could just push it out of the way. So I like the luxury of having this here where I don't need a giant chest. The only disadvantage to this system is when it gets dusty in here, everything gets covered with dust. Like you can see the dust on just everything. And I mean, it's a little bit annoying, but it's a small price to pay for having enough space in here. And then I'll show you the file cabinet real quick. So right by the window, here's the file cabinet. And on the top, we have my circular saw, some propane tanks, some blanks that I was actually looking for. That's good. Some crazy resin scraps, things like that. And then the bottom I have all my angle grinding equipment, the angle grinders, all the discs and cutting wheels, and then my pump for stabilizing. And then over there I have the tank for stabilizing. And last but not least, the last wall that's pretty boring. Okay, so this is probably the most boring wall or side of the shop that I have. It's the side with the door on it. So because of that door swing, I have limited space. So what I did was I was able to put the fans behind the door. This was actually a Lionel Gilliar Schoenberger's idea over at his channel, which I'll link below, where because you don't have a lot of space, and I needed to utilize this space because the door opens, he's like, oh, why don't you just put the fans there? Because before I just had them out on the ground and it was annoying. Here's the AC that my friend put in. Yeah, I know I don't have insulation, but in the summer it cools it down really cold, and I'm not in here for extended periods of time, more than 6 hours maybe. I'm not in here for more than 6 hours, so having insulation, it's a little bit redundant. Down there I just have my Porter Cable framing nail gun, some Sawhorses apron, shop apron, and a sweatshirt, and that basically covers it. So in conclusion,
you don't really need a lot to build a shop. Like, I was in my basement, then I moved to a 7x7 plastic shed, and then for only $1,000, I was able to build this. And now, it's not perfect. I know it's not a house. I know I'm not a professional framer. It's not perfect. But for $1,000, I made do with something that's sturdy, it's dry, it's really bomb-proof, and it holds my stuff, and it keeps it safe. And yeah, I could do wiring, I could do insulation, but I'm just trying to show everybody that you don't need that much to have a shop. And you could do this whatever way you can. You could get all recycled materials and make it, or you can fit it to your needs. And I just wanted to show that it's not that hard. Just look up some videos online, and I just wanted to share my 10 by $10, $1,000 backyard workshop. Alright, I want to thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I'm Louis for Bit of Blade Co. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.